And we are live. Hey Felix, what's up, man?
Hey, how you going? Yeah, pretty good. Self?
Not bad, not bad. And we are back for an exciting AMA, guys, again. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We'll get anything answered. So don't hesitate. We are here until 6 p.m. No, 5:30 p.m. CT. So go for it. Take advantage.
Yeah. Pop any questions in chat. We'll try to answer them. But yeah, I guess we'll get started pretty quick, and as people start to roll in. First question was from Hope Gone. They mentioned, "Hi, will my ledger work on an upcoming trip in Russia?" You've mentioned the potential option of a VPN, and generally speaking, when you're using a ledger, it shouldn't be an issue. It can depend on location based on IP. So part of the troubleshooting process that we would suggest, if you were going to be in a country like Russia, is potentially to check the networking, and that can include a VPN. So it's definitely one of the potential troubleshooting steps we could be, but it could also be with regard to in terms of networking conditions. It could be things like if you're on a restrictive network with a really bad restrictive firewall, things like that. So a bunch of steps, but that is definitely potentially one of the first ones. So.
And we have extensive documentation in the Help Center that covers like all different networking issues that you might face when connecting to Ledger Live. So whatever you see on Ledger Live, if you have any issues, just pop that into the Help Center. You'll probably find some documentation on how to help you out. So next is Amand Van. I'm sorry, I can't really pronounce your name, but your question was, when I send CRO to my Ledger Nano X, it does not show on latest operations received all my other. Okay, so it doesn't show in the latest operations, like my other transactions. What is this? So part of the issue might be so that could be a basic synchronization issue. So in this case, Ledger Live is just not aware yet of the transaction. In this case, going into the settings and clearing the cache might help you to pop that transaction back onto Ledger Live. It could also be that the exchange actually did not process the transaction. That's something that happens sometimes. They will tell you that the coins have been sent, but in fact the transaction failed on their hand for whatever reason. So you might also want to check if the transaction ID return anything when you paste it in the block explorer. If there's a valid transaction ID and you can see the coins in your account, it might also be because they've been sent to a different network. So ideally, if you want to grab that transaction ID and see on which network it's been sent. So if you see Etherscan, that would mean that the CRO has been sent to the Ethereum network. If you see Polygon scan, then that would mean that the CRO has been sent to the Polygon network, and so on and so forth. And then based on that, you will need to add the corresponding accounts in Ledger Live. So try some of those tips and tell us if it works.
I think the other thing to mention is that if it is crocrypto.org, that there is a potential issue in terms of the transaction history. So if you actually see it in the block explorer, specifically crypto.org chain explorer, would be the block explorer for that particular chain. If you see it there, but you don't see it in Ledger Live, it would mean that it is there if it's confirmed, everything like that. It just would be a display issue. So you can work around by just checking it in the block explorer for now. So if that's the potential issue there, if it's on crypto.org chain as opposed to the 0xEVM Kronos chain.
Nice.
But next would be Angel Mendoza. And you've mentioned, hello, I recently purchased a Ledger Nano X, and when I power off, or when it powers off itself, it does not turn on unless I plug in the USB to my computer. I think the first thing I'd just be double checking would be if the if when you're trying to turn on the device itself, how are you turning it on? Normally it should just be even one of the buttons should work, if I remember correctly. I use my Ledger Nano X a little bit less, if I'm honest, but should just definitely be able to turn it on. If you are having like a battery issues with it, if you are getting an error message, you might be seeing the error message as well. And I think if I'd also want to check if when you unplug the device, if it just turns off instantly as well. It might give us a better idea of what could be happening there. If it is a hardware issue, let's say if it's battery issue, something like that, it might be something we'd want to have a chat with with you for. We see if we can replace the device. Otherwise, I think the general steps of making sure you're all up to date, everything like that. 2.1.0 is the latest one. Is that right? I can't.
For Nano X, the fun one,
Oh.
I can check right now.
He's mentioned the buttons don't work. So you've clicked one and both and nothing. Did they work when they're turned on as well? If they work when they're turned on, but they don't work when I unplug it, it stays on, but then turns off after some time. That part stays on when I unplug it. It stays on, and then turns off after some time.
That could be a potential hardware issue. Yeah.
Yeah. 2.1. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. I think at that point, it might be something you might want to get a hold of us for. Support.ledger.com is how you'd. Yes, they work when they're on. All right, perfect. Yeah, I think there might be a potential hardware issue, especially with the battery there or the battery life potentially. We could definitely have a look at that for you. And, potentially replace the device if need be. Support.ledger.com and the bottom right-hand side, just to have a chat with us. Essentially, you can open a ticket and we can have a look at trying to replace the device. Generally shouldn't be too much of an issue there. Not sure. I know it can be a little bit.
It's annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it shouldn't be too much of an issue of us trying to get that out to you ASAP as well, so you don't have any lag time in terms of not being able to manage your device. So hopefully that should be an option there for you. Yeah.
And Angel, don't worry about your coins itself. Like as long as you have your 24-word recovery phrase, like the coins are not in the device, right? It's only the private keys. But if you have to return the device, then make sure to reset the device, but keep the 24-word recovery phrase with you. And you're completely safe. Once you receive the new device, you'll be able to restore your private keys into the new device with the 24-word recovery phrase. So we'll take care of you, mate. If you want to pop your ticket ID as well in the chat, and maybe we can have a look. Just make sure someone is on the ticket.
Oh yeah. We can, if you pop that in there, yeah, for sure. Maybe we'll jump on to the next question.
Yep. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, why not? We got, why does my Ledger Live desktop app have a red X beside my crypto in accounts? And I think you actually mentioned it before. It could be a potential synchronization issue. Normally, when there's an X there, it might, let's say, as an example, it might not have the latest data for the blockchain, something like that. Generally speaking, you should be able to click on the X. It might load for a bit to try to get the latest information, and once it has it, might be a green tick. Now, if you've done that, it might say not able to synchronize or something related to that on the top as well. It could be something that could be happening across the board. It's not something that's happening for me in particular, but if it is something that's happening for you, the other thing would be, again, potential network issues. Essentially, Ledger Live has to go and get the latest data from our infrastructure. If it can't do that, that's probably the first thing that I normally check if I was having a chat with you live in particular. I'm not sure if you'd have any other potential causes behind that not being able to synchronize at all.
I'd be curious to know which network is affected as well, Jim. Is it an issue you get on every single account or just one or two accounts? And if it's on a particular account, which account is affected? So just give us as many details as you can. Also, when you hover your mouse on the red cross, is there an error message that appears? And if yes, what is the error message? Once we've got this information, then we might be able to just tell you more on what's happening. Next, we have James. James Bigas. What is the status on HBAR? Yeah, so that's a long story. So HBAR is currently supported in Ledger Live, but you still have to onboard, meaning create your account via a third party like Hashpack. Actually, I strongly recommend Hashpack. I think that's the best user experience to add new accounts, and then you can import that account into Ledger Live. That being said, of course, people are looking forward to staking. So staking not supported in Ledger Live yet, but you can do it via Hashpack. And again, the private keys are still secure in your Ledger device, so it's perfectly safe. Yeah, we're still working on it. It's not an easy integration to manage, to be honest, because Hashgraph, not Hashgraph, Hedera is not a blockchain, so to speak, so it's a very special kind of network. So yeah, we're working on it. Stay tuned. In the meantime, if you need documentation on how to stake, how to add a Hedera account to Ledger Live, please check our help center at support.ledger.com, and just we've got a bunch of articles and guides on how to do that.
Right. Next question is from Marco Momich. They've mentioned, hi, I have a problem with Solana staking. I tried to clear the cache, reinstall the account, but the staking does not appear in Ledger Live. You've checked SolScan, and the staking is still active. Now, with regards to staking Solana in Ledger Live, it should definitely be there. So, I mean, the first things I'd be thinking of is if you had started, if you had initiated the staking within Ledger Live, then would something have changed in the meantime? Something have changed in the meantime potentially? If depending on what accounts you've added as well into Ledger Live, just to make sure just looking at the right accounts. Just the normal quick things that I'd be thinking of first of all. It might be. I can't really think of anything other than those quick checks at this stage. I mean, if you're looking at Ledger Live on mobile, it may not. I don't think it appears in particular because it is only something that is available on Ledger Live desktop. So that's probably the only other thing that would come straight to mind for me in particular for Solana staking.
Okay, cool. Moving on, we've got Kane. If I have two ledgers, how does Ledger Live work using both of them on my same laptop? Currently, I have the Ledger Nano S Plus, and I would like to add a second device to add more crypto to it. Yeah, for sure. So Ledger Live is agnostic to, you can use Ledger Live with as many devices as you want, but the question is, are those devices holding the same private keys or not, right? Because if you have, so let's say this is your first device, Nano S Plus, and it has a particular set of private key in the device, which is represented by your recovery phrase. If the same recovery phrase is held into a different device, then Ledger Live will not make any distinction between your both devices because they're the same for Ledger Live because they have the same private keys. However, if you're thinking of a different setup where you've got two devices with two different recovery phrases, so two sets of private keys, in this case, you can plug both your devices and create accounts with each device. I would recommend that you make sure to label your accounts in a way that makes it obvious which device control which account. So you could name, for example, BTC Nano X, Nano S Plus, your BTC account, and then a different account that's controlled by a different device. A different name, yeah, because it can get pretty confusing if you have multiple devices managing multiple accounts. So yes, but again, it all depends on the recovery phrase and the devices you use.
All right. Now, next question comes in from Barvik. Zaveri, you mentioned, is Avalanche C-chain finally available in Ledger Live? And next one was, can I deposit all my AVAX on Avalanche C-chain on Ledger Live? And yes, that is indeed the case. You could have deposited it into a Ledger managed address before if you weren't aware, but again, of course, now you can see everything on C-chain in Ledger Live as well. Hopefully you're stoked with that one. Probably not much else to say about that one, really.
I think the process to add the account is a little funky still. You have to go through My Ledger. Like if you just go to the accounts tab and you add the account like the normal way, you might not find Avalanche, but you might have to go to connect your device to My Ledger, type Avalanche into the app catalog, and you'll find a link that says add account. I think currently that's the only way to add the account. And I don't know why the developers decided to do this. Is that still the case, Felix?
I'm not 100% sure. I think to speculate that part of the reason would be because they have those multiple chains, right, as well. So like what is it, X chain and
P chain and
P chain. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see, because it would be a bit of a UX issue to try and have those all integrated together. So so that's probably something that's on their mind going forward as well, I would say. But I had definitely used AVAX with the web wallet as well. Not an issue there as well. Shouldn't be an issue with managing that. So yeah, always have that in the meantime, just in case. But yes, it's still there.
All right. And then we've got Nikki D. Today's supposed to be Happy Buy Day. Yes, Happy Buy Day, by the way, at Ledger. Yet I'm still seeing processing fees when trying to make a purchase. They shouldn't be. Last week there were absolutely no fees. Please advise. So actually, I bought some Bitcoin earlier during Happy Buy Day today, and it depends on the provider. So some providers will charge like zero fees. So none of the provider will charge you zero fees, but some providers will have better rates than others. So for example, I bought some Bitcoin and I know that Ramp was offering a flat 0% in terms of, so there would be no fee at all. So you pay 200 euros, you would get 200 euros in your wallet. But the rate, the exchange rate itself, not the fee again, but the exchange rate might depend on your location, the currency that you're using, and the provider. So I would strongly recommend that you just go through different providers, look at different coins, and just select the thing that works the best for you.
All right. Next question. I just had it up before. Oh, yes, Jason, you mentioned, can I borrow real money by having cryptocurrencies as collateral? If yes, how much can I borrow? That would also depend on the service provider that might offer this service, right? Now, in terms of potential service providers that do, there's only, for me, the only closest thing would be a decentralized provider like Aave, where you put in something like Ethereum, and then you might get stable coins in return, and using that stable coin to be redeemed as fiat. So a bit of more of a workaround. There's no direct service that I know that you can borrow real money. Actually, before I forget, there is one potential solution, which would be uHodler, where you can actually, yes, borrow a fiat. Now, if I remember correctly, the LTV, so the loan to value ratio that you can use is 90%. So not, 1-to-1 or anything like that. So of course, but yeah, there is a potential option, and that would be in the Ledger Live Discover section. I know when I checked it, they supported, I normally only checked USD and Euro, and they supported both with some level of fees in terms of withdrawing that back into like a Saber account, or I think a Swift account, or ACH would be the US one. So there is a potential there, actually. I nearly totally blanked on that one, so sorry.
No worries. Next we've got Achilles. Hi there, I've been trying to swap USDT to ETH for the last week, and Ledger Live, after final confirmation, freezes, my Ledger shuts down, sent an email, still waiting. But fun fact, ETH to USDT, I can do it without any issues. Any ideas? The first thing that came to mind here to me was there is an issue when going into when using Paraswap, for example, where you just won't be able to do it. But you can use the browser app, and that should go through like without any issue. So maybe you want to use that. The bug in Ledger Live when using Paraswap, or I think 1inch is affected. Felix, is that correct?
Potential, yes. I think yes, that's right. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, Achilles, like try to use the browser app, just the web app, normal vanilla PairSwap app to see if that works.
I I do think that it should have been resolved as of now, but I think this, if you're still obviously experiencing this issue, yeah, definitely, I would always try the browser app for sure. Just another way to access the same service, right? So yeah.
The other thing I would check is whether, like, is your USDT in a different account that has ETH? Because if you're trying to swap if you have two separate accounts, one with USDT but no ETH, and the other one with ETH, then you might potentially face a situation where you don't have enough gas to pay for, swapping this USDT into something else. In which case, if you have your ETH and USDT separated, then send your ETH to the account that has USDT. So you've got everything into the same account, and you can pay for the fees to swap the USDT out. So yeah, that might be where you're getting stuck as well.
All right. So next is a follow-up from Jim Hamby. You mentioned that the total you added shows up in the mobile app, but it has a red X on the desktop. And so I'm assuming you mean that hasn't added the coins yet. I'm assuming you mean you wouldn't be able to see the balance of the coins. And it says keep saying try again. And then it looks like it's just affecting DOT at this stage. I made sure to check while you were talking, Dan, about any potential issues that might be happening there in particular, but wasn't any issues with relation to dot synchronization that I saw internally at this stage. So, I mean, the other thing would be maybe to check. Let's have a look. I just was checking for more info, Jim. Potentially, we'd want to check the network. So like I normally would check because you're using your mobile app, maybe you can just double check with what is it called?
Polkadot JS.
Oh yeah, Polkadot.js for sure as a workaround, but as within Ledger Live, maybe to check with the network for your phone. Just want to make sure that everything's able to get all the information correctly. If it's just for DOT but everything else is not syncing though, might be something that we'd want to have a chat with you about in case there is, a potential outage. It's definitely something we'd want to know about ASAP, and then we're gonna jump on to try and fix that ASAP as well. Obviously, don't want that to happen to you guys. So everything seems operational at this stage. So it might be we want to essentially try and isolate the issue for you in particular. Check another computer if you can. Check another network, that kind of thing. Just so I always say, isolate the issue. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Then we've got Tomo. When NXRA in Ledger Live. So I was checking while you were talking, Felix, and NXRA is not supported.
Actually, I was going to grab onto this.
Oh, okay.
No.
Go for
It's
it.
because it's the continuation from the ALBT. I was actually chatting with one of the guys. Apparently, he raised to get that works there. Already got the contract address, and we're going to add it into our asset list already. So it is taking a bit of time. Doesn't mean that you can't, use it at the ledger managed address, but you would have to just maybe use a third-party wallet just for now while we get everything added in. So I actually only just by luck was speaking to one of the guys that works there. So and rest assured, we are working on it. I actually just got an email back from one of the guys from Alliance Block today. So it's just about making sure we liaise internally for our devs to work on it as well. So no worries at all. You can use something like MetaMask, add the custom contract and things like that if you need to move it or anything like that.
Awesome. What project is NXRA? I'm just curious.
It's the replacement token for the Alliance Block, ALBT.
Oh. Okay, got it. Okay, so let's move on. Next, we've got Gary Guevara. So I moved my crypto in Ledger, did an update, and my crypto decreased. I show transaction was complete, but the total amount is wrong. What can I do to get my crypto back? So Gary, don't worry. Unless you share your 24 recovery phrase with a scammer, then the crypto is still in the account. It's probably a sync issue, so it's basically Ledger Live not being able to properly read your accounts and just giving you the wrong balance. So things you can do is clear the cache. So go into the settings. There's a little cog at the top of Ledger Live. So click that. Go into I think about, and there is an option that says clear cache. Try that. See if the balance is good. Second thing you can do is potentially remove the account and re-add the account with your Ledger device. See if that works. Also, you can try on mobile as well. If you have a Nano X or Nano S Plus and you are an Android user, try to install the mobile app, connect your accounts, and see if you're getting like the different balance or the correct balance. If you still have the issue after all that, then please get a hold of us, support.ledger.com. There might be something else that's going on. Also, make sure that you have, make sure you're looking at the correct currency as well. So I've seen instances in the past where people would have US dollar on the phone, but then they would have Ledger Live Desktop with euros, and so like there would be a discrepancy here. But again, like if the issue persists after that, just get a hold of us, support.ledger.com, and send us your logs so we can have a look.
All right. So next question is just a follow-up from James. They've mentioned, thanks for that. I've done all the following steps for HBAR, just waiting on the integration with Ledger to do all of the following features on hash. But they mentioned you haven't done much with XMR, so Monero. Is that more of a process with a third party to do its security? I don't think it's much more of a process. It's like any third party third-party wallet that you might use. Same with like MetaMask or something. You make sure to download the corresponding application. So in this case, the Monero application onto your device, and then the specific wallet that you'd use would be Monero GUI, for example, and then you might be able to at least continue to manage some assets from there in particular. You do so, with Monero GUI with your Ledger device, but you wouldn't do it within Ledger Live. So I don't think it's more of a process necessarily, just that Monero GUI is very, I feel like it's very specific in that case, but yeah.
Next, we have a question from VOV Senate. Sorry for butchering your name here. Hi, when will Casper appear in Ledger Live? So I was checking and it looks like it's not supported in Ledger Live yet. We can make a request for you, so eventually it will be added to a future version. For now, just use MetaMask so you can access the account and see your balance.
All right. Next is there any update from UK Shepsky they mentioned? Is there any update to when the Ledger Nano X will be compatible with MetaMask Mobile? Yes, it was due to be released September last year, but no particular update from us at this stage. Unfortunately, we're really anxious to get it in our hands as well. But it is definitely in progress as far as I'm aware. So. Unfortunately, not too much to say there. Sorry, I couldn't be more specific, UK Shepsky.
Yeah. Next, Kane, follow-up question. Cheers, guys. Just to confirm, if I had two Ledger devices with different keys, recovery phrases on each one, would Ledger Live show my total portfolio balance of both of them combined? Yes, that's correct, Kane. It will manage all these different balances, show you the total. And again, you can add as many devices as you want. Okay, so you can potentially have like 100 different devices connected to one copy of Ledger Live. But again, because it gets super messy to have that many devices on one Ledger Live, then it's probably best that you keep everything organized and label your accounts like very carefully so you don't keep track of what controls what. Otherwise, you might get like issues where you try to access an account, you try to spend from that account, but then you get an error message in Ledger Live that will say something went wrong private key, and that's because you're using the wrong device. So again, try to think in terms of where are my private keys located, like on which device, and then you'll be fine.
All right. So we've got S Essential. They mentioned, hi, why can I not use the swap feature on Ledger Nano S? You're in New Zealand if that narrows things down. Now, I just want to double check if it is it wouldn't necessarily be related to your device. So Ledger Nano S in particular isn't going to be something that you have the swap feature grayed out for. But that being said, the swap feature is dependent on location. So if you are in a place where there are no service providers for that particular location, then that could potentially hinder you in terms of making swaps off-chain in particular. So like using a centralized service, being that we don't provide any swap services, there might be something like Changelly, or Changelly is the one that comes up always in my mind, but that they may not be any service provider in that area. If you're trying to swap, mostly in my experience, if EVM chain assets, it might be good to use a DEX, something like 1inch or Paraswap. But if not, you could use other multi-chain services like Rango, and I had another one that was coming to mind.
ThorSwap, maybe.
ThorSwap, that's it. Yeah, those are the potential ones that have that aren't just EVM based, but even UTXO based as well. So there are potential options that you can still use with your Ledger device as well, actually. So no need to import your phrase anywhere.
You should definitely not do that.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Okay, next we had a James. James Biggest. Kane, I have multiple seed. Oh, okay, so he was answering Kane. I have multiple seed on Ledger Live with 2 Ledger. Yeah, exactly. Okay, next to Jason, and Jason with a shout out. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, thank you, Jason. We appreciate you as well. Thank you for coming. We'll be back tomorrow, so not on Twitter. Oh, we'll be back on YouTube tomorrow? I don't think so, no.
No, not on YouTube, on Twitter, I think, yeah.
Actually, the US team will be back, but we are the EU team, so we will not be back on YouTube, but the US team will have a live as well. You can check out the AMA schedule that you will find at support.ledger.com. If you type AMA schedule, you'll find like all the different slots. Okay, I'm gonna take Daniel's C question. Do you support Theta? Yes, we do, but not in Ledger Live, so you'll have to use a third-party wallet to view and manage the accounts. Yeah, we have documentation on the Help Center, support.ledger.com. Just check that out. I think the best third-party wallet for it is there is the Theta wallet, and
yeah, it's the Theta wallet app. It's just like a web wallet in particular. I think they actually use the 4460 Ethereum derivation path, but just normal can use it online and stuff like that. Just make sure, yeah, I think it's Theta and T-Fuel that you need to use to manage the assets on there. So yeah. There's definitely a Help Center article, actually. I've got it up, so you can always check that as well before I forget. All right, but next is Miss Fastwan. You've mentioned I have recently received a Ledger Nano S Plus. First, how can I check this is a genuine original wallet? On the packing cover, there's a barcode. What use is the barcode? You wouldn't be using the barcode to check the genuineness of the wallet. Potentially, what you might be doing is when you connect the device, you would go through the steps to, get the recovery phrase from that device. When you go through that process, you actually will go through a process that will check not only software integrity, but the hardware integrity of the device to make sure it's been tampered. If it's been tampered, via the firmware, or if there's some kind of hardware there as well. So it definitely knows, it can check, and will tell you if your device is genuine before you ever are able to put any funds onto the device. So just a heads up, that's what you should be looking for. No need to, check the device on the, check the packaging on the outside or anything like that. So you're all good to go from there. Also, if you do get a device that, asks for a PIN directly, then it's definitely going to be a red flag, because you should be generating the recovery phrase on the device. If you get like a card that already has the recovery phrase on there in particular, then yes, that would not be the one that you would want to use. Someone else might potentially already has access to that recovery phrase. So make sure you look out.
Awesome. Next up, Achilles said like he's tried, so the swap issue USDT to ETH. He's tried everything, nothing worked, but it worked with MetaMask. Yeah, it sounds like something you should get a hold of us, Achilles, so we can have a look at what's going on. Might be a bug on our side. It's probably a bug on our side, to be honest. So yeah, please do open a ticket, support.ledger.com, click the contact us button and send us, get a ticket opened, and you can drop the ticket ID here in the chat. We'll pick it up and we'll get back to you tomorrow. So sorry about that. Continue using the browser app. That's perfectly safe. Again, like you can plug your Ledger device into any app as long as you don't sign a malicious smart contract transaction. You're perfectly fine. So yeah, we'll take care of you.
All right. So Andre Semenov, you've mentioned when will we add Juno and CW20 tokens to Ledger Live? No specific time frame. I'm not sure. I had to double check. For this one in particular.
Tokens. Which networks are?
Honestly, that's why I was looking through now. Cosmos, I'm assuming actually.
Yeah.
Because Juno, it was like ringing through my head, so I had to like talk through it. But no time frame, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But
Juno is EVM, right? Or like some Cosmos chains are EVM compatible?
Some Cosmos chains are. Juno does have a EVM token, so on Ethereum and Polygon. But it is on Cosmos. So I'm assuming he means Cosmos-based tokens in particular. No specific time frame or anything like that. I know that there are a lot of Cosmos maxis internally, so don't worry. It'll be something that will get pushed for. Like we'll be excited for sure. But we'll make sure to note down that feedback 100%.
Okay. Next, Christian Zobrist. Hello, can I ask, is it unusual to have the same word twice in a 24-word seed phrase as I have two words the same? Thank you. Good question. It is completely normal. It happens. It's just the question of, the device randomly creating your recovery phrase. Sometimes you will have twice the same words, sometimes in a row, sometimes different places in the recovery phrase. It's also possible to have 3 times the same word or 4 times the same word. It's just a question of, probability. So yeah, perfectly normal. Don't worry.
All right. Also, Dino mentioned what is going on with Multiverse or eGold. If you could maybe drop some more information. Is there something that you might be experiencing in particular? If there's any particular issue you might be having, there might be something. Yeah, we just need more information in that particular regard. Nothing is going wrong as far as I'm aware, but obviously, if you're experiencing a particular issue, we definitely want to help. With James, you mentioned what happened to USDT on BSC. Was it removed? If you're still seeing, you should still be seeing USDT on, a block explorer, so like BSC scan. And if that's the case, I know that we were looking into some potential issues with regards to what assets particularly appear, especially, Binance Smart Chain assets are, Binance pegged. And so it's not about if you see the assets at the address, you should be okay. It's just about us making sure we have the right assets there as well. I know there's already a case raised about looking into it, but because it didn't seem like on our end that it was happening in a very specific case, I'm not sure we have an exact root cause for that specific issue yet. I think we're definitely looking into that since I'm following that along internally as well.
Okay, next up is Sergio. Hello, what is the replacement procedure if I need to replace a Ledger Nano X? Get a hold of us, Sergio. Send us an email. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Oh, Felix, your pizza is here, I think.
Yeah. Apparently, I gotta be back.
Yeah. Go for it. I'll take care of the chat. So, guys, Felix is gonna get his pizza delivered, and to be fair, I don't know if it's a pizza. It could be something else. So, Sergio, I am going to drop the link to our help center in the chat, so you can get a hold of us. So it's a link to the help center. So click that, and on the Help Center, there is a Contact Us button. You can click the button and then chat with the bot, explain the issue, and then you'll get a ticket number, and you can drop the ticket number in the chat here, and we'll take care of you. There you go.
All right. So where would we be up to? Sorry about that.
No worries.
We've got, it's essential. Thank you. I shall explore your options. I think it was wire or changerly. Complications. Yeah, that can be something, with specific service providers that you can have issues with. So if you're not doing cross-chain transactions, I always love recommending EVM dexes. So it's definitely something I always stand for. So I think I normally go about that quite often. But next, I might just keep jumping ahead. We've got Autochainic Man. Quite interesting name. When will Ledger Live add ICP, so that's Internet Computer Protocol, into Ledger without a third party? You have money in Coinbase that you would like to take out. No specific. We can really never give any specific timeframes on when, in particular. I know definitely ICP is also the other ones that get brought up. I think there definitely should be a application in Ledger Live, but it's just a matter of integrating that into within to be able to see the assets in Ledger Live. So I'm sure it sounds like you already know you can use the NNS DApp to access it in particular. But yes, unfortunately, no time frame.
Yeah, and I think to be fair, I think it's okay to use third-party wallets, because those are typically, like those teams that create those third-party wallets, they are more nimble. They are focused on one particular project, so they're able to bring new features like much quicker than we can. Because the truth is, everybody wants to be on the Ledger platform, and so we've got a huge backlog of projects that we need to integrate into Ledger Live, but only limited resources on our end. So that's why we always integrate things with some lag, but also because we want to make sure that things are secure before we bring them into Ledger Live. That's why it takes so much time sometimes, and you guys get frustrated, which is perfectly understandable. We know that you're just excited to be, to have your coin listed in Ledger Live, which is perfectly fair. But again, because Ledger is putting security first, that we just want to make sure that we ship features that are safe and that will not compromise your coin. So that's the trade-off that we make all the time, and I don't think that's something that's going to change. So for now, using third-party wallets is part of the crypto experience and also the Ledger experience. Eventually, the grand vision is to have Ledger Live as almost like a super app with everything in Ledger Live, but it will take time, of course. And as long as you don't type your 24 recovery phrase into a third-party wallet or give it to a scammer, then you're fine, right? You're fine. And you can always ask us questions, if you have any doubts or if you're not sure about what you're going to do, then just jump on a AMA. We've got AMAs every single day, and we'll answer your question. That being said, you want to take the last one?
I can keep going. Okay. Christian, you've mentioned you got worried that you messed up. You concentrated on that at the time. You two guys are the best. You didn't have to say that, but thank you, and that you're very grateful. Of course, we are grateful for you guys as well. I know it's really, it can be really stressful because it's your finances, right? And whenever something doesn't, necessarily correspond to what you might think, of course, it's going to be something that is going to cause you a lot of potential. Not heartache, but yes, stress is the only other word I can think of. So no more synonyms for me. But yeah.
So Sergio, yes, we got your ticket number, so we'll get back to you probably tomorrow. So you can expect an email from us, but we got the ticket, so no worries. And we've got a very interesting question next. Do you want to take that one, Felix? I guess we can both chime in.
Yeah, we're going to riff on this one, I guess. How can the crypto industry survive if there is no, quote, centralization of standards? 99% of these coins will go to zero. How do I pick and choose which coins to support? So how can how can the crypto industry survive if there's no centralization of standards? I mean, for me in particular, because I transact a lot on EVM chains, I do feel that there is is some standard. It's not the ultimate standard, but there's definitely a big standard. You hit the nail on the head, though, Philip. 99% of the chains of the coins will go to zero. It is a sad fact of a lot of this kind of industry. How to pick and choose? That's the dream, though, isn't it? So I don't really have the particular advice on that one. For me, it's about considering it in the same way that you might consider when you're picking something more in traditional finance. It's about either doing what you believe in, doing what you understand. So if you understand music and art, if you understand quantitative finance, it's about making sure to focus on what you personally believe in. I think that's probably the important part in particular. And then you're supporting projects that share your world vision or your vision for the industry as well. So that's kind of the best I can probably give without giving like financial advice, really, right? So
Yeah, it's a good answer. I think for me, I think there are standards in our industries, like more than you might expect. So I'll give you two examples. The first one would be the BIP39 standard, which makes sure that your private keys are compatible with like a number of different assets, hardware wallets. So that's the reason why, for example, if you had a Trezor in the past and you're moving to Ledger, then you can use your 24 recovery phrase from a Trezor and put it in your Ledger and find the same account. So that's one standard. A second one that comes to mind for me would be the EVM, right? The Ethereum virtual machine that is being used by so many chains now. So Ethereum, of course, but all these different rollups that have been, been built on top of Ethereum. So we are seeing like those centralizing factor around like industry standards. NFTs as well. It's also a standard across the industry. So the industry is slowly progressing and gelling around like some standards, but that takes time, right? Because there is a huge process of almost Darwinian biological selection, right? Like you've got money being thrown at all these different projects, and some of them will survive, some of them will not. But at least I think, in my opinion, this waste is not wasteful because it's the price you pay for eventual for innovation, right? So that's the reason there will be losers and winners, of course. Something else I would say as well is in terms of picking coins, what's the most important for me is to have conviction, right? It's one thing to listen to your friend that just invested in whatever coin, but it's a different thing to actually buy something and then get to know the community. Listen to the thought leader in whatever community, and also educate yourself on whatever coin you picked, and then you can decide is that a good long-term hold for you or not. And I think having conviction is what will take you through the volatility and the craziness of the crypto market. If you don't have those conviction, and if you go too big too fast into like the size of an investment, that's the surest way for you to lose money, because you're going to panic sell at the first time of weakness. So yeah, again, conviction over speculation, in my opinion.
all right. Next question. Just to follow up from James, mentioned, thanks, Felix, on the USDT subject. You moved USDT 12 hours ago on Polygon with the mobile app. You mentioned you verified the address and you don't have access to desktop at the moment. The transaction was from a third party. So I'm assuming that's what you meant there and was good on their end. The first thing I'd be checking is transaction ID. That's, we always use that kind of, not necessarily as the ultimate source of truth, because it's not necessarily always going to be 100% correct, but you're going to be able to at least verify that on chain, first of all, right? So that's the first thing that I'd think of in wanting to grab. It might be something you'd want to, check on, what is it called? Check internally with us, as opposed to, putting that on stream, and then we can try and work through that with you. But if I think you were mentioning that it is let's have a look. I just wanted to pop back up. Status on HBAR. Thanks to it's just in general. With Rick, let's have a look. I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything from you, James. Yes, BSC. Right. Okay. So if it's on Polygon, then it wouldn't be on BSC, actually. So actually, it's all coming together. You might need to add a Polygon account to see it on Polygon network. In particular, that's what I would think about. If you move to USDT on Polygon with the mobile app, unless you used a bridge or something like that, then it should still be on the Polygon chain in particular. So it might be something, yeah. If you get a hold of us, support.ledger.com, pop the ticket in the chat. We'll actually go through that with you, because it's something we might not need more info for the transaction. Sorry, James, I'm just making sure I have all the information. But that's kind of what I'm thinking so far, that it might just be that you need to add the Polygon account for yourself there, by the looks of things.
Okay, moving on. So we've got a couple of shout outs from Otto. Thank you for your feedback. Yeah, thank you, Mike, for coming to the live. And then we've got a question from Asim. If I lose my ledger, do I only need the 24 recovery phrase to recover my accounts? And that is correct. That's the only thing you need. You just get a new device, and then you can put the phrase into the device, and you'll have access to the same accounts. But that also means that anybody can do the same if they have your recovery phrase, and that's the reason why you should never share your 24 recovery phrase with anyone. Again, Asim, be very careful. There are tons and tons of scammers on the internet that will try to trick you into disclosing your 24 recovery phrase. Never give it to anyone, never type it anywhere. Anyone asking you for your 24 recovery phrase is trying to scam you.
All right, next question or statement, actually. I actually already got the ticket number up, so I can't read it now. Okay, I'll read it. Case number, already got that. If I knew if I had knew that you don't provide proper hardware wallet, I'm hurt by that. After receiving a defective product, you're not even responding or taking any responsibility, then I wouldn't be buying it. I'm really sorry that's the experience that you've had. It's not the experience that we want everyone to have. I'm actually assigning the case to me right now. Just after this, I'll make sure to jump on that, and we'll grab all the information that we need from you, depending on what the issue is, and we'll go from there. I'm really sorry that it has been so long. So we have your ticket number now, so I'll make sure to take that on personally for you, Rohit. So sorry about that experience, mate, for sure. It's not the experience we want people to have.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons, guys, that we do those live as well. So you have direct access to us, the support team, right? So if, the tickets are getting a little slow, at least you have a way to just raise the alarm and say, hey, guys, I've been waiting for 5 days. Maybe you should take a look at my ticket. And this is exactly the reason why we go live every single day. So, whenever you need quick support, or if you need follow-up on a ticket, this is the place to do it. Tell your friends as well. We want those live to be, one of the main point of contact between us and you guys, the community and the customer. So this is very, very important for us that we provide this support. So again, we'll take care of you. Next, we have Noe Macias. Should I transfer back my crypto to an exchange to sell, or should I sell directly on Ledger? Well, it depends on the crypto. So Ledger has a lot of options to buy crypto, but not as many options to sell crypto, at least for now. In terms of selling crypto, the current options are only for Bitcoin via Coinify, or ETH via Byte, which is in the Discover section in Ledger Live. So those are the two only options. If you are talking about any other coin, then it might be best indeed to send it to an exchange and off-ramp that way.
Right, and looks like we should be just needing to finish up, but we've got Charles Lafille mentioning why scammers are directing people to the Lobster wallet. Now, Lobster would be for Stellar Lumens, as far as I'm aware, specifically. I mean, I wouldn't know exactly the specific reason. I do know that there are particular chains that have a large number of it has a larger than normal number of activity in terms of scam activity. So might be just related to what's happening on chain there in particular. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to get into their heads in particular about why that would be the case, unfortunately. But I mean, if you guys are seeing it more and more, we definitely have like a team looking out for anyone trying to, pretend to be ledger support and things like that. Or do you have something to provide as well? Yeah.
And and last comment, and that would be a great way to finish the AMA from Angel Nichuchang. Thank you for the great AMA. Thank you guys so much. Actually, we thank you, the community, for showing up to those AMAs. We'll be back. So the US team is going to do the next AMA on YouTube tomorrow. I think it's at 4 p.m. CT. So yeah, they'll be back to answer all your questions. Charles, is Ledger Nano compatible with Stellar? Yeah, we support Stellar accounts. Those links from scammers, like, just be careful, because they might actually are trying to give you fake links to fake wallets that might try to steal your recovery phrase. So just be super careful. Instead, get a Ledger device and just use that. And if you need any support to get started, actually there is a onboarding session that will be hosted by the US team tomorrow on YouTube. So you might want to check that out so you can get started, safely. Cool. Felix, you have any closing comments or?
No, nothing in particular. I think it's all this the same. Don't share your 24 words. Don't input them anywhere as well. Don't sign any weird transactions on weird sites. And generally speaking, you should be all good. We want you guys to stay safe.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you guys tomorrow.